How long does it usually take for you to sell a property? Like if I bring you whatever you would call an average deal, whatever that means, would you think maybe 3 months, 6 months, 1 month? I don't know. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, with the way the market has been over the last 2.5 years now, we're obviously seeing some changes with interest rates, inflation, et cetera. But there's rarely ever a property, again, as long as the pricing strategy is appropriate for the property in the area that's in with all the variables considered. It's not unheard of to have it under contract for 30 to 45 days. There are listings of mine that even in today's market have been out there for 90 days plus, but that's primarily due to that particular seller client of mine had any unrealistic expectations on the pricing. We work for you. We may make suggestions or recommendations, run a comparative market analysis to tell us what it's probably worth. And based upon the market conditions at the time, the other variables that might affect that value, make a suggestion. But at the end of the day, there's a number that you're looking for. We'll try to get it. But not always does that happen within that 30 to 45 day window. If we price it right and we put our marketing plan forward as we do for all of our properties, very rarely does it get beyond that, at least over the past 3.5 years.
Is there a point at which you would say, okay, something's wrong? Like there's a reason this hasn't sold. Maybe we're asking too much. Maybe the property pictures are terrible. Maybe something's wrong. What would that point in time be? Is it like 3 months, 6 months? Like when would you reassess and say, okay, we got to change something here?
It all depends on what kind of activity we've had up to that point. I'm just going to throw out a number of 90 days. So if we haven't had, a certain number of inquiries, whether that came from an email inquiry, a phone call, a showing request, if we haven't had an adequate number of those within a 90-day period, and obviously no offers, then it's probably time to make an adjustment. Really, really dive into everything, see what could be the problem. Many, many times it's just price. Very rarely would we ever attribute the property not being under contract to something like poor marketing photos or not being in enough places. It doesn't matter what type of property it is, it's going up on every single platform we have access to. The MLS system, all our signature membership accounts with, Land of America, Land Wash, Land and Farm, alltheland.com network places, social media, our website, so on and so forth. So rarely ever is it due to our marketing. Primarily, it's going to be either price or some unforeseen outside third-party factor that we just didn't really put enough weight on at the beginning, whether it's access or a neighboring property like a landfill or a junky property that had a bunch of trash and abandoned cars and things nearby that we just really didn't recognize up front. Maybe that's the driving factor as to why buyers aren't picking up the phone or setting an ego.
That was going to be one of my other questions is, what are the different selling platforms you use? And you kind of just answered that. Makes you wonder, do you ever use things like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or some of these? They may be unconventional to a licensed broker, but for somebody who's trying to sell for sale by owner, it's like the first place to go to because it's free to do. It makes you wonder, do you bother with that since you have access to all these other platforms?
Many of our agents, including myself, we do push our properties or promote our properties via social media, whether that be LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, of course. And when it comes to things like Facebook Marketplace, we are limited in the ability to market certain properties via that platform just due to internal policies and discriminatory things of that nature we have to be mindful of. One thing I do, at least for my land-focused properties or recreational properties, there's a lot of private Facebook groups out there, Missouri hunters or Missouri hunting properties for sale, things like that. I will share or boost a particular social media post about a new listing or price reduction or whatever that might be within those private groups that I'm a part of, just to get an additional exposure that those participants and followers of that group may not have seen it elsewhere.
Yeah. Of all these different platforms out there, I don't know if you build like an email list or a text blast list or other kind of internal list that you shoot stuff to, but it makes you wonder, if you could only have one of them, which one makes the biggest impact for you? Is there a particular, on a Land Watch or the MLS or your own home website or something like that? Which one is most impactful? Or maybe even the top three? What would you say there?
I would say at the very top, no question, is MLS access, MLS marketing. And the reason for what is, if you were to ask any other land broker, depending on which firm they're with, they'll probably tell you, we just sell land. We don't mess with the MLS. I feel that's a very poor perspective perspective. And the reason for that is the MLS in all the markets that various MLSs might have a reach to, you're getting much, much more than just a platform to market a property on that other brokers are going to see. There is, in many cases, what's called an IDX agreement that comes along with your MLS membership. And what that allows is instant marketing ability on sites like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Redfin, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And that's something in our firm that we sign up for from day one when we get into a new market and become a part of that area's MLS, is we ensure that we have an IDX agreement in place. So it just gets a lot of exposure in a very easy, very quick way. And so first and foremost, I would say MLS. The MLS and the land.com network, in my opinion.